Ahora, pero no tanta seriedad.
Nuestro próximo invitado es un tipo que está lleno de tantos cuentos chéveres. Ojalá que él nos da la gracia de compartir algunos buenos cuentos de su propia lucha por la libertad humana y en contra de, ¿cómo se llama esa plaga? Sí, el socialismo. Eso.
Por favor, denle un fuerte aplauso para el señor David Andrew Gay, también conocido como Dadmin.
Dadmin, where you at? Vente, compañero.
Este señor aquí introduciéndome como alguien que va a dar gracia. No sé. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do this whole thing in English or I'm going to do it in Spanish. I might just mix it up because I just feel like it. I run a meme stage, okay? Memes. This might not sound very important to you guys, but you guys all know the power that memes have to control the political conversation. That's a reason why social media is cracking down on meme pages. But there's more to it, and so I'll tell you a little bit about my story. My page, Liberty Memes, had about 18,000 followers back in 2018, and we were deleted for what? I don't know. Probably because we stayed up for liberty, because we challenged the mainstream thought. Anyway, we took this audience, and I decided, you know, what's really important in promoting liberty is getting people to like us and understand our ideals by having common ground. So what I do with Liberty Memes is I take my audience and I say, hey, you know what? We have all these people here. How about we start crowdfunding things and helping people? So we've done that over the last 2 years. We've raised more than $500,000 with a group of about 200 people that are dedicated voluntarists that just give to things. So people who need surgeries, people who need to pay their rent or buy a car or anything that'll just make another person happy, we just do it because promoting voluntarism and making people happy voluntarily without the government being involved is very important. So I have a local story for you. As long as we're here to talk about the subject of socialism versus liberty. A friend of mine, tal vez ustedes lo conocen, ahora yo voy a hablar en español, sorry if you don't speak Spanish. Un amigo mío que se llama el Duque Hernández, no sé si ustedes lo conocen, los cubanos conocen Orlando Hernández, un pelotero que jugaba con Industrial en Cuba, se escapó de Cuba, vino aquí a los Estados Unidos a buscar su oportunidad. Porque en Cuba ya no lo permitían jugar pelota, no lo permitían ni entrar a un terreno de pelota, ni nada para nada, porque su hermano era profesional. Y allá en Cuba se considera eso como un mercenario, contrarrevolucionario, porque tenía un familiar que quería hacer su vida y ganar dinero. Bueno, el Duque ganó la Serie Mundial con los Yankees de Nueva York y con los White Sox de Chicago, ganó bastante dinero y fue a Hialeah a buscar una oportunidad de enseñar a los chamacos a jugar pelota, básicamente de gratis. Encontró el parque que se llama Benny Babcock en Hialeah y lo remodificó por completo, lo hizo una joya de béisbol, bonito y bello. ¿Y qué pasó? Hubo un demócrata, un socialista, que le dio la idea de que él quería ser alcalde de Hialeah. Y fue al terreno de béisbol y por la mañana vio que había un candado en la puerta, que los niños no lo podían usar gratis, que digamos, libremente entrar ahí al terreno de béisbol, que se supone que él tenía eso alquilado y era, ¿no?, su propiedad privada. Lo podía tener cerrado por la noche, porque por el día abrirlo para los muchachos jugar. Y este hombre que quería ser alcalde dijo, no, el Duque Hernández es malo. Tiene a nuestros terrenos de béisbol cerrados. Los niños no pueden jugar béisbol aquí en Hialeah, que es algo fundamental para nosotros los cubanos. Y ganó la alcaldía. Y llegó a votar el Duque de ahí, de Hialeah. Un lugar que ha producido tantos beisbolistas famosos, que han traído tanta riqueza aquí a la ciudad de Miami. Lo votó de ahí. Le dijo, no, usted no le toca eso. ¿Y ahora qué pasa en el Benny Babcock? Ya, nada. No pasa nada. Lo que yo quiero decir es que la libertad trae beneficios de capital. Cuando alguien triunfa y gana dinero en el capitalismo, lo utiliza casi siempre para ayudar al prójimo, para levantar el pueblo suyo. Y eso es lo que quería hacer el Duque. Pero ¿qué pasó? Entró un socialista y dijo que eso no se podía hacer. Es como que le volvieron a hacer. Es como que le volvieron a hacer lo mismo que le hicieron en Cuba. Entonces, ¿qué les digo? So I'm going to go back to English now. And I'm going to remind you guys of the Black Lives Matter protests from last year. And I'm going to remind you of the lockdowns. I actually live in New York, and it's really oppressive up there right now. My son, he's a liberty activist like me already at school. He gets into Twitter arguments and stuff with the Purple Hair Army. And he mentioned something about how the lockdowns hurt athletes' ability to sign contracts freely. And the Purple Hair Army came and they basically said, boo-hoo, poor them, they didn't get to play sports this year. And I said, son, you better get on there and you fight back with those people, because how dare they trivialize the contribution of black athletes to their communities? How dare they trivialize? Well, they're all talking about the mantle of raising up the black community and doing something to help minorities. They're like, ooh, they didn't get to play sports. What they did was they took an entire class of athletes for an entire year and they clashed them out, because once you get to a certain age, you're not a prospect anymore. You don't get to sign that huge contract. But what do black athletes do in this country? When they make all that money, they build schools, they build hospitals, they build sports facilities. That's what they do. That's why it's important for every single class of minority athletes to be able to sign. So you go back to the situation in the Dominican Republic. Dominican players weren't allowed to do it either. Venezuelan players weren't allowed to do it either. Nobody got to sign last year. And these are people who spent their entire life saying, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to become a professional athlete, and I'm going to make it in America so that I can go back to my country and I can raise my people out of poverty. This government assisted all of those socialist governments in keeping everybody down, when all it took was to say, you can sign a contract and become a pro athlete and raise your community out of poverty. It's funny because Dominican baseball players in particular have the freedom to come to the United States and make millions of dollars. And what do they do with those millions of dollars? They go back to the Dominican Republic. They build brand new hospitals. They build brand new schools. They build brand new sports facilities so that the next generation doesn't grow up in poverty and can make it and help everybody out in the country. That's what they do. That's why it's so important to have the freedom to be able to do that sort of thing.
Do you know about one?
You know what? You know who doesn't have that freedom? Cuban baseball players. There are Cuban baseball players here in the United States who make multiple tens of millions of dollars, and they can't go back to Cuba and say, I'm going to build an academy. I'm going to build a hospital. I'm going to build houses for everybody in the neighborhood where I grew up in Cuba. They can't do that. Why? Because a socialist government keeps it from happening. So, I just wanted to tell you guys that story as long as we're on the subject of socialism versus freedom. So I run a memes page. We have a group called Liberty Memes $5 Charity Club. And basically the idea is $5 is nothing. You know, you can give $5 to anything. But if you have a whole bunch of people doing it all at once, you can really make an impact. So people come to us and they say, I'm getting kicked out of my house. They're foreclosing on me. And I'll tell them, what's left on the mortgage? 10 grand? Okay, now you own your house. That's what Liberty can do. And that's what we do. Thank you.
David es un poquito, no le está diciendo la verdad. En los últimos 16 meses ha recaudado más de $500,000 en el tiempo que ha hecho el trabajo de Liberty Memes. Ha recaudado más de $2 millones. Así que muchísimas gracias por todo lo que hace por la libertad, porque es mucho. Y la gente que le donan no siempre son libertarios, al contrario, son de muchas partes del mundo, de muchos diferentes estilos de vida, y conocen la libertad a través del trabajo que está haciendo David. Así que muchísimas gracias, David.
Ahorita.